Good evening. First thing I want to take credit for is everything you just saw on that film. On behalf of the late Keisha Kirkland, his children, Kennedy and Zachary, Levon parents, the late Laverne Sr. and Helen Kirkland, and his siblings, we are proud to be here tonight at the 2017 South Carolina Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony to introduce Levon Kirkland and our distinguished guests. It would be easy to repeat the number of honors and awards that Levon has received from high school up until this night. Individuals who have reached the pinnacle of their profession, often we focus on their accomplishment, on their downfall, but not on the story behind those accomplishments. Tonight, I want to focus on the story behind those accomplishments. Levon, as a 6'1", 205-pound wide receiver, tight end, linebacker, and kick returner, Levon impressed the spectators through his high school and career at Lamar High School. Unfortunately, the crowds rarely included college scouts until USC scouted Corey Miller, and then took an interest, and then Clemson entered the scouting process for Levon. We are here tonight to honor him and others who will be entering the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, including fellow alumnus of South Carolina State University, Charlie Brown. For Levon, the seventh of 8 children born to the late Laverne Sr. and Helen Kirkland, it started in the small town of Lamar, located in Darlington County in the PD region of the state of South Carolina. Levon's solid foundation was built on prayer, discipline, education, and the Kirkland legacy. Prayer. Every Sunday morning, between the call to wake up and breakfast, my father would gather the family around the bed and begin praying. Father, in the precious name of Jesus, we come to you as humble as we know how, giving thanks unto you for how good you have been to us. The prayers did not stop there, but as the family moved away from home and throughout our adult life, this pattern of prayer continued, not only for his children, but prayer for others. As my father was slowly dying in hospice care, he had enough strength to pray for the night nurse that would look after him. Discipline. If you ask my siblings the question, who would you rather be disciplined by? Our father or our mother? The answer would be, is there another option? This discipline was not only for correction, but it also instilled in each one of us the willingness to focus on our choices of career, our spouses, and other life-changing decisions that we would have to make. My parents were the perfect example of rising up early each morning, going to work, never complaining, but providing all that we as children needed. The same discipline enabled Levon to work hard at his craft as a starting linebacker for the Clemson Tigers and later as an NFL linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Education. Our parents were not fortunate enough to finish high school, but they understood the importance of an education in a changing world. Levon also would learn a valuable lesson on the importance of education. I'm not sure he got the memo about grades and sports in the Kirkland household. In Levon's own word, he was the big man on campus at Lamar High School until those grades did not meet my parents' expectation. Levon was not allowed to play sports until his grades improved. Conversations with coaches at Lamar High did not faze my parents or persuade them to allow him to play. As our oldest sister left for Benedict College, my father explained to Barbara, you have to make it so the rest of your siblings will know that they can make it in college too. As other siblings entered college, 2 to Benedict, 3 to South Carolina State University, and Clemson also, our mission was 4 years and done. My parents would not pay for that 5th, 6th, or 7th year. Collectively, 4 of my siblings, including myself, we have 92 years in the education field. the Kirkland legacy. My parents, especially my father, would remind us that our last name was Kirkland and that it was important and that we were not to go out and tarnish our name. It meant that we were responsible for each other, that we were to help out and not expect anything but love in return. Even as Levon was creating a name for himself by being drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, he still was the seventh child of 8 children of Helen and Laverne Kirkland without any special treatment. As we take a look at Levon's career, we can see that the foundation created by the guidance of our parents, the coaching staff at Lamar High, especially Coach Stires, who was the first to recognize that Levon had talent and could possibly take him to the collegiate level. The Clemson Tiger coaching staff, who offered Levon a full scholarship to attend college under Danny Ford, who called him Laverne. And when Levon reminded him that his name was Levon, he replied, "I know who you are." The Pittsburgh Steelers, Coach Cowher and the Rooney family, who drafted Levon in the second round of the 1992 NFL Draft. The Arizona Cardinals, who allowed Levon to fulfill his dream of coaching in the NFL. These and other accomplishments speak to the long journey from 320 Lincoln Circle in Lamar, South Carolina, to the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame. Levon has enjoyed the fruits of his labor, but has also given hope to others from Lamar, South Carolina, who would follow in his footsteps. John Abraham, former USC Gamecock and NFL outside linebacker. Michael Hammond, former Clemson Tiger and NFL safety. Marshall McFadden, former South Carolina State University Bulldog and NFL linebacker. B.J. Goodson, former Clemson Tiger and current New York Giant. Ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests in the South Carolina Hall of Fame, on behalf of the Kirkland family, I would like to introduce to you Lorenzo Levon Kirkland.
Laverne, thank you for those wonderful words, those warm words. My brother was my first role model. And I loved growing up with him. He was handsome, he was athletic, had great taste in clothes. When I was an NFL player, he was my advisor. He told me business is business. And that's how I went along with it. But he taught me probably one of the most important lessons that I ever would know. Now, we come from a really small home, 3 bedrooms, 6 siblings. For some reason, my mother had the rule that the oldest sleeps with the youngest. So I had to share a bed with Laverne. And one particularly cold night, I wanted to get a little bit of cuddle time. It was cold, and Laverne was bringing in so much heat. And I was 5 years old, so I was trying to get a little closer. He must have sensed that I was trying to get a little closer. So the next thing you know, I had a fist in my chest with the wise words of, "Get your little bad word over." That's my brother Laverne. And that's the man that I really idolize, who's been a great father, who's been a great big brother. I want to first say thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I want to give honor to God, who's put me at this exact place at this exact time. I want to thank the South Carolina Hall of Fame, especially David, for inducted me. Now, for a kid from Lamar, South Carolina, I mean, that's amazing. When you get recognized, when you get an award, a lot of times it makes you reflect on your life and the journey that you're taking, the experiences that you have, the lessons that you learn along the way. And I've had some kind of journey. I really have. And the best thing about journeys, the best thing about this path of life is you realize that we're all connected. Whether we're black, white, religious affiliation, that we're all connected. And I thank God for this wonderful trip, and I thank God for allowing me to be a part of the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame. Now, what I want to do is I want to kind of take you there. I want to give you a story about my life. And a lot of times I don't really like talking too much about myself, but I feel like this is a great story. And the first thing I'll let you know is I'm up here, and a lot of people look at me as the linebacker, but boy, was I like the weirdest kid you ever know. And my brothers and sisters could really contest to that. I mean, I was a weird kid. I mean, I would be outside, man, throwing the ball around, playing imaginary games. I'm the coach, I'm the commentary, I'm everything. A weird kid. But man, I tell you what, that's called imagination. It's called vision. And at that time, I told myself at 11 years old, there's no way this kid, the runt of the litter, is going to play football. But I told myself, after I threw a touchdown to myself, I said, you know what, man, I'm going to play pro football. And to the audience, man, I believed that. There was no doubt that I was going to play. You would have never figured it out because, I was a runt. But I knew that I was going to play football. And my journey started in Lamar, South Carolina. I know all of you know where Lamar, South Carolina is. We have built a program down there. It's one of the best 1A football programs, and I'm certainly proud to be a part of that. And one of the best athletes that ever come out of Lamar, South Carolina, you may not know him, but I love him, is Ernest Jackson. May he rest in peace. Ernest, I never saw Ernest play. I never saw him play. But I remember stories that my brother told us about Ernest and his proudness on the field, the way he did things. And as I played the game, and Ernest came to the games, man, I could see that I was playing for him because he didn't get the opportunities that I got. But man, that was my hero. That was my first great example of a great football player. And may God rest his soul. He was the best. He really was. Then I think about Lamar, South Carolina, and the great athletes we had before my time. I think about Tommy Suggs, Evander Gerald, Tony Shaw, and those guys that set that example for us, that gave us that pride. But the man that I really consider a second father is Terry Thyers, my head coach. We had Coach Don Poole, Perry Bell, Coach Bethea. Those guys were wonderful. But Coach Thyers was the one, little short man, come up to me and say, you know what, Levon, I think you can play college football. And a lot of times when we hear a word, sometimes we don't want to believe it. Somebody gives us a compliment, we're like, no, that's okay. But when Coach Thyers told me that I can play college football, it woke my 11-year-old up and said, yeah, I believe him. Simply say it, I believe it. It wasn't being arrogant, I just believed what he said. He confirmed what I thought when I was 11 years old. We were back then one of the smallest schools in the world, but man, we were tough. We were the few, the proud, the foxes. We played both ways. I believe it or not, I know a lot of coaches probably don't believe this, but honestly, man, I returned punts, I returned kickoffs, I did the popcorn, and when my father was working on Fridays, before the game, I lined the field. And that's really no joke, I did actually line the field. But I played with guys like Baron Damon, John Abson, Michael Shepard, my cousin. We call ourselves the Kirkland Crush, man, and we had a tremendous time. I played basketball with those guys. I ran track with those guys. And like Coach said, something about being from a small town, that closeness, that family, atmosphere. It was wonderful at Lamar High. And I'd like to thank all the people at Lamar High that have supported me throughout the years. I know maybe a lot of them not here, but I love those people. I love the city I come from. It's small now. We got one traffic light. We just got a Dollar Tree. But I love myself some Lamar, South Carolina. And I'm proud, man. You can ask anybody, man. I'm telling you, we're the best 1A program in the country. And I tell the coaches at Clemson, every 10 years, go down to Lamar, South Carolina, you're going to find one. You're going to find one. And it's certainly been that way. And I'm really proud of that legacy that has begun in Lamar. Clemson University. What can I say about Clemson University? Your 2017 national champions. That's right. Go Tigers is right. Let me tell you how special Clemson was to me. I was a guy back then, they didn't have recruiting services, they didn't have the internet, barely had cable TV. I mean, Lamar, South Carolina and Clemson seemed like worlds away. They really did. And I remember my coach, before they were recruiting other guys, at a game we were at, he told me simply, there are recruiters out there. That's all Coach had to tell me. That's all he had to tell me, man. I had probably the best playoff game I ever had in my life. And the first letter I get is from, wait for it, the University of South Carolina. Now, I tell you what, man, beggars can't be choosers. And I was thrilled for about a week. I was thrilled for about a week. Then Clemson came calling. And I can never forget Miles Aldridge, our linebacker coach at the time. Man, I might have been a 2-star guy, and most people didn't know who the heck I was, but that dude recruited me like I was a 5-star guy. He called me. We developed a relationship. It was amazing that me from Lamar, South Carolina was getting noticed from Clemson, South Carolina. They just won the national championship a few years ago. I was such a geek of football that I knew everybody that came into that program. I knew all the names. I knew what high school. I knew my recruiting class. Nobody knew me, but I knew them. And man, it was fortunate because Coach Aldridge walked to my parents' home and he gave me that scholarship. And it was a big thrill. I went down to Clemson for my official visit, and I like to tell you, that was my only official visit. I knew right then, I'm going to Clemson University. And then when I arrived at Clemson University, as my father basically dropped me off and said, don't embarrass us. You know, one of those drive-bys when I don't know if kids know that now, but back then, your parents basically came up to the front of the dorm and the car was still moving and your stuff was thrown out. Like, we're done with you. We got those 18 years, we're done with you. But man, I was so happy to be at Clemson University. And I remember those first years. I was a good athlete, but not quite developed. Got red-shirted. And I remember, and some of you guys who've been at Clemson, this coach named Barney, he came up to me as I'm working out. He said, man, if you keep working the way that you work, you're going to be one of the best linebackers ever played here. Most people be like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever. Guess what? I believed him. I believed him. I was like, I took it all in. I'm like, okay, cool. I can be that guy. I'm going to be one of the best linebackers ever played here. Man, I went to work, and if you know anything about me, I'm just not a bench player. I mean, I'll do it for maybe the first year, but the second year, I need to get on that field. So I was able to get on the field, and man, Danny Ford. Man, we live for Coach Ford to say something good about us. And we were in this drill, this 3-on-3 drill. And man, this is a tough drill for the defense. And there's an offensive back and a quarterback. Quarterback hands the ball to the offensive back. And we got a guy in front of us, man. And we got to try to shed that guy and make the tackle. The first time we do it, boom, I shed Stacy Fields, made the tackle. Now, I'm about 212 pounds. The next play, bam, did it again. The next play, bam, did it again. Man, I was feeling good, man. I'm making some waves. The next day, we have a meeting with Coach Ford. And Coach Ford is like, and he would go about the players, he kind of review, and he said, I want y'all to look at this 3-on-3 drill, and I want y'all to look at this Levon Kirkland. This is how you do the drill. And the coaching staff can barely contain themselves. But me being a foolish young man, say, hey, Coach, my name is Levon Kirkland. And if you're young, I'm sorry. He said, I know what your bad word name is. And I'm like, Coach, and I'm saying to myself, Coach, you're right. My name is Levon Kirkland Jr. There is a Levon Kirkland Sr., there is a Levon Kirkland Jr., I'm Levon Kirkland Jr. My bad, I am so sorry. But there wasn't a better coach you wanted to play under. I mean, he tests you, he grinds you. That whole coaching staff, and Miles Arthur, Tommy West, I see Billy DeAndre out here. We used to have battles with the offensive tackle. I mean, the players were like, oh my God. The coaches were like, players sometimes, they'd be like, you want some? Yeah, I want some. Come on down here. We like, oh God, please. But that's the kind of atmosphere that we had. It was a great atmosphere. It led to a lot of winnings. I played with some tremendous guys, and the guys that are before me, Jesse Hatcher, who's like a big brother to me, James Earl, Makadine Perry, Terry Allen. I can go on and on. And I think about the linebackers I played with, John Johnson, Wayne Simmons, Ashley Shepard, myself, Ed McDaniel, Doug Brewster. In front of us, we had Chester McLaughlin, Vance Hammond, Rob Bodine, 6'1", 285 All-American nose guard. We had guys behind us, Jerome Henderson, Dexter Davis, Robert O'Neill. We were so good on defense, man. We basically fought for tackles. Instead of fighting, the offense, man, we were fighting each other because tackles were a rarity. Making big plays was a rarity. You had to try to go out there and make them. But, man, we were that number one defense, man. We dare people to cross that 50-yard line, and we played like Tigers supposed to play. And it was a tremendous experience for me. Then I go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're like the Clemson Tigers of the NFL. They really are. The black and gold. So much tradition. I remember that I was when I was getting drafted. That was the team I wanted to get drafted to. And I went into the bathroom before they drafted me, and I looked at the mirror. I was like, they're going to draft me. They're going to draft me. They're going to draft me. I went back, sat down, the phone rang. My niece picked it up, and I'm like, please don't be one of my brother-in-law idiot friends calling. But it was the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. They called me up, and they were like, Levon. I'm like, yes. They say, do you have a TV in Lamar, South Carolina? I'm like, well, actually, I'm in Sumter, but yeah, we got TV. They said, do you got cable? I'm like, yeah, man, we got cable. They said, hey, your name's going to flash on the ESPN. Man, I was a 38th pick, man. From being an 11-year-old to now being a 38th player, picked in the 1992 draft. It was tremendous. I went on and, by the grace of God, I played with some great people. I was coached by Bill Cowher, Dick LeBeau, Don Capers, John Mitchell, Tim Lewis, and the list goes on and on. Great coaches, but may he rest in peace, Dan Rooney. He was the best owner you could possibly have. He was the leader. He was the guy that just really was the culture of that football team, and I was really happy to be a part of that. But now I want to give special thanks to my family, my rock, my foundation. Like my brother says, a family that prays together stays together. And our father made sure that he was our rock. He really was. He worked hard for us. He sacrificed for us. And we really respect that man, and we love that man. And I miss you. I really do. My mother, Helen. Now, if you wonder where I got all my linebacker proudness from, it's from Helen Kirkland. We got to say it in our family, you don't want the Helen to come out in me. Because if the Helen come out in me, you're in trouble. But my mother was a sweet woman, man. She was the one who taught us how to be athletes. She taught us how to walk proud. She taught us how to be competitive. Nobody was better than the Kirkland family. My sister Barbara, who was our example, who went to college first, showed us the way. I already told you about Laverne and his lesson that he taught me. My sister Sandra, who's here tonight, we always had an inside joke. She was the creative one. My brother Albert, my road dog, probably the coolest cat in our family. Nothing worries him. My sister Angela, the heart of the family, so proud of her boldness. My sister Chrissy, my Krispy Kreme. Man, I was so happy you were born because that meant I wasn't the youngest in the family. You turned out to be such a great woman. My niece Shanae, she's not really a sibling, but she thinks she is. And she's turned out to be a phenomenal woman, wife, mother, and I'm so proud. Zach, my man, I love you. I want to also give honor to my in-laws, Enos and Linda, and the partnership we developed in raising my daughter Kennedy. But tonight, I think about my dear departed wife, Keisha Kirkland, and I just really want to thank her for being a part of my life. I knew she was going to be my wife the first time we talked on the phone. Her beauty, her intellect, her spirit was impressive. If you ever met Keisha, she was just impressive. Smartest woman that I know, the bravest woman that I know. She was a superstar. She had more fans in the Greenville area than I ever would have. I'd like to thank her for being a warrior. I've seen her through some great times and at the end some bad times, but she was a warrior. She kept fighting to the very end. And she was an example that even though you have cancer, it doesn't have you. I would never forget her. And one last thing, in my sick sense of humor, honey, we beat Louisville this year. You went to Louisville, we beat you, and we won the national championship. She would have had a lot of fun with that. And to my daughter, Kennedy Kirkland, you're my favorite gift of all time. It was love at first sight. You're the best of both your mother and I. And I want you to remember something, that you're amazing. Not just because I'm your dad, you think I'm supposed to say that, but because you got God inside of you. I want you to remember something in front of all these people. Remember to always work hard, be bold, be creative. And it's your duty to shine your light. Don't hide what God has given you. Know that I'm your teammate, I'm your guy, I'm your homie, I'm your ace. And know that I love you. Again, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I want to thank the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame for having me. I love you. Stay connected, and God bless.